All right, welcome. So, journaling can improve your mental health. This video is all about journaling and its impact on your mental health. So, if you guys would like to completely transform your lives through self-improvement, go ahead and click the top link in the description to join my coaching program. So, I recently stopped journaling, probably about not quite a year ago, but a little bit less than a year ago. I basically completely stopped journaling, and throughout the entirety of the year, the following months after I had stopped journaling, right up until recently when I started again, I progressively got less clear on my goals. My mental health started getting worse overall, but I also got less clear on my goals. I got less focused. I stopped being able to articulate my thoughts as clearly. I stopped being able to think and process information as clearly. My attention span went down, but this was the result of other things as well. But overall, a lot of the benefits that I had started to gain from journaling, I didn't really even realize were coming from specifically journaling, but also I started to lose them when I stopped. But now recently, because I've been in a rut, my mental health hasn't been the greatest. I've started to reincorporate some of the habits that I left behind unintentionally back a year ago. So I started some of these habits again. One of them was journaling, right? I started journaling again. And within just a couple weeks, I had already started to feel a lot better, feel a lot clearer. My thoughts were clearer. I also had less thoughts overall, so I wasn't thinking as much because I had already processed most of the big things that I was thinking about. So I had less thinking, and I was clearer on my thoughts when I was thinking. I became clearer on my goals, and my ability to articulate my thoughts became a lot better as well. But the most important benefit that I've received is just the fact that my mental health has exploded in the last 4 to 6 weeks, just because of the fact that I have started to journal again and started to write these thoughts down onto paper and started to process all of the things that were crowding my mental space and therefore causing my mental health issues. So the power of journaling. When we are thinking, when we are deep in thought, these thoughts continue to essentially circulate, right? And you don't even have to be, I didn't mean to say deep in thought, but when we are in thought, right? When our thoughts, when we're having thoughts, when we can hear them and they're playing over and over again, they are essentially circulating our mind, right? So they are essentially circulating our mind. They're essentially looping, right? They're looping. So until we have properly processed this thought, until we have properly either taken action on it or processed the nature of it, processed the emotions associated with it, whatever, until we have processed this thought, the thought continues to circulate in our mind over and over and over again. So until we've properly processed it, we continue to have these thoughts circulating. So what happens when we have these thoughts circulating and we continue to bring in more and more information, we have more and more thoughts, but none of them ever get completed. The loop never actually gets completed, so they continue to circulate. What happens is our mind becomes crowded with all of these different thoughts that are constantly circulating. And this becomes a very chaotic state, right? A chaotic environment for us to be in. And that makes our mind scattered. It makes our mind unable to focus. It makes us feel overwhelmed and unable to do real work, unable to focus on real work, right? And this is just due to the fact that these thoughts are circulating. These thoughts are taking up so much of our mental energy and our consciousness that we can't actually focus on anything else, right? So journaling is so important because it gives us a way to process these thoughts and complete the loop, right? Writing all of these thoughts down allows us to properly process everything going on in our mind, all of the emotions, all of the thoughts, all of the things that we're contemplating on. It allows us to actually process all of it, right? So if we're writing it all down on paper, we can see it clearly. And because we can see it clearly, we can reread that and we can start to observe and study our own thoughts, our own mind. And it also gives our mind a better understanding of the thought, of the topic specifically. And it allows the mind to stop ruminating on the thought, stop circulating the thought, because now it's down on paper, right? So because it's down on paper, now the mind no longer needs to circulate it. It gives it that completion of the loop, right? And so what that does is it allows us to actually properly process all of our emotions and all the information that we're taking in on a day-to-day. And because we can process all of that energy and emotions and information, it gives us clearer understanding, a deeper wealth of knowledge, and it gives us a better ability to control our emotions and regulate our emotions because we learn to understand them better, right? And it also gives us an outlet for these emotions. So when we're feeling intense emotions, we have this physical outlet to go and express these emotions in a way that gives us a deeper understanding of ourselves instead of, let's say, for example, angry outbursts, right, where we simply lose this energy, this valuable energy of emotion. But we also do it in such a way that is damaging to us and other people around us versus journaling where you can process the emotion in a more complete way than if you were to have an angry outburst, but also in a way that allows you to understand yourself better and is also not harmful to other people, which is important. So the impact of journaling on mental health. So specifically talking about gratitude journaling here, gratitude journaling will program this state of gratitude into you because it's a consistent thing. If you do it every single day, you write things you're grateful for every single day, it puts you in a slightly happier mood. And when you do this day to day on a regular basis, it programs this into your brain in such a way that your brain starts to become more positive than negative, right? So if your brain is typically negative, you're constantly hearing negative thoughts about things you don't like, things that aren't good enough, things that, but things you haven't achieved, things you haven't done, things that you'd like to do. Basically just all these negative thoughts of lack, right? You replace them with the opposite of thoughts of abundance, of thoughts of gratitude, of thoughts of positivity, right? The things you have done and accomplished and achieved. The things that you are working towards in order to achieve it. So instead of seeing the vision of what you haven't done, you see the vision of what you're doing to get there, right? And so it's a switch in mindset from the state of lack to the state of abundance, right? The state of not having to the state of having, right? Because gratitude is stating that I have everything I could possibly need or want. And so that statement of having, of already having, puts you in this state of abundance, right? It puts you in this state of already having everything you need and being fully grateful for the things that you do have. And this allows you to create more in your life, to bring more into your life, right? This allows you to create abundance, but it also increases your mental health because you have a happier sense of being. You have a happier state of being. And obviously, naturally, this happier state of being will reflect in your mental health. So the next thing is processing mind stuff. So what do I mean when I say mind stuff? Basically just all of the ruminating thoughts from before, any egos, any perceptions of reality, any identities, any thoughts, any complications of the mind, basically. But all of these things that are basically just the crowding of your mind, right? These are the things that take up your mental space. So in order to be able to fully process all of this, in order to be able to fully comprehend and understand all of this, we need to have some sort of outlet that allows us to properly get these thoughts either onto paper or into reality. So physically expressing these thoughts. So this can either be through speech, like for example, me making these videos is a good example of this, where I am processing all of the information that I'm teaching you guys today by speaking it out into reality, right? I'm processing the thoughts that I'm having about the script that I'm reading by speaking it into existence, right? And so another way to do this is through writing it down onto paper, right? By writing it down onto paper, we allow ourselves to properly process all of the stuff within our mind, all of the thoughts, all of the egos, all of the identities that we have, all of the perceptions, all of the experiences we've had, right? And because we can properly understand and comprehend all of this, then our mind is no longer crowded with it. So our mind is no longer taken up, our mental space is no longer taken up by all of this. And so it ends up giving us a clearer state of being, a lighter state of being. And so this will reflect in your mental health as well because of that clarity and that lighter feeling within your mind, right? This ability to move throughout the mental space freely instead of being blocked by thought, by ego, by perception. The next thing is getting clear on your goals, right? Because having clear goals is one thing that will increase your mental health overall. And journaling itself helps you to actually gain this clarity, create this clarity on your goals. And so by journaling and creating clarity on your goals, you will then increase your mental health, because having clear goals and having action steps that are clearly bringing you to those goals helps a lot with mental health, especially for men, just because having a purpose is necessary in order to have a baseline level of happiness, right? We can't be happy if we're sitting around all day with nothing to do and no reason to be, right? Naturally, you will be depressed in this state. And so the basic foundational piece to getting out of depression is to have a goal in the first place, is to have a mission, a reason to work, a reason to move forward. And if you don't have this, that's what you should be spending time doing, is figuring out what that is. So understanding and comprehending problems. So the next thing is that when you have a problem, specifically when you have something that comes up that you need to solve, that you need to contemplate on and solve for, it gives you a way to clearly comprehend and understand the problem and also a solution. So this has two parts, right? So you can journal about the problem itself, right, to clearly understand and comprehend what the problem is, why it's a problem, why it's causing so much torment within you, right? But then you can also go ahead and do the same thing with the solution, so you can then come to a solution through this, right? So if you journal for long enough about the problem, let's say I needed to make a big business move and I didn't know exactly what move to make, right? So I needed to make a big business move and I didn't know what move to make. And I had two options. What I would do is I would write about that specific problem. I would write about the fact that I need to make this big business move. And I would write specifically about why I need to make that move. Like, let's say what's going wrong with my business and why I need to make this next move. And then also I'd write about each of the options so I can understand each of the options. And then I would go ahead and write about the solution. So writing about the solution in this case would be coming to a conclusion about which option is better and which option fits my business better and which option will solve my problem better, right? And so that's the purpose of journaling about the problem itself, so you can understand it fully, comprehend it fully, and then you can come to the best possible solution because of that. So the last thing is self-discovery. So another thing that journaling will help with is self-discovery, because if you can find more of who you truly are, right, start to remove some of the things that aren't really a part of who you'd like to be and start to add in some things that reflect your true being or who you truly identify as, this will increase your mental health, because one reason that your mental health is so bad is because you currently align with a version of yourself that isn't authentic. And so by completely and utterly understanding yourself on a deep level, understanding who you truly are, having this level of self-discovery, this will increase your mental health, because you will start to feel alive again. You'll start to feel full and complete again, because you are actually moving with your true purpose. You are moving with who you truly are, instead of all of these false ideologies of who you're supposed to be, right? So by completely understanding who you are, and each step of the way will increase your mental health, because it allows you to align to your true self. It allows you to align to who you truly are. And that naturally will make your mental health better, right? So the next thing is how to actually journal, right? So how do we actually begin journaling? So you've watched this entire video. If you have made it this far in the video, I would assume that you're interested in what I'm talking about, which means you'd like to start journaling, right? It sounds like something that you actually need. It sounds like something that you actually should be doing. So how do you actually begin to journal? So the first step, we're going to talk about gratitude journaling. So gratitude journaling, I specifically do it in the morning, and I recommend for anybody who's getting into it to do it in the morning, right? For a couple of reasons. A, because it puts you in a healthier state of mind first thing in the morning. So it's like it programs it slightly deeper into your brain, because it's first thing in the morning and because it's early, right? That sinks in deeper. But the other thing is it's a good activity to start your day with. It's a good simple activity to start off your day with and to build a little bit of momentum with, is writing. Instead of like jumping straight into your biggest work task, you kind of set up a morning routine to initiate that work, right? Initiate that level of productivity and output, but you create a morning routine that properly warms you up to it, that properly initiates the process of getting to that level. And so one of the things I like to do is writing, because writing is fairly easy for me, but it allows me to set my state for the rest of the day, right? It allows me to set my mind for the specific state I'd like to be in for the rest of the day. So gratitude journaling is good for that reason, because it puts me in a positive state for the day. But so how do you gratitude journal? The way that I do it is very simple. I will just write, I used to do like gratitude. I'd write gratitude and right under that. I just do bullet points now. So I'll do bullet points, 2 bullet points, or 3 if you'd like, 2 to 3 bullet points, and just journal one line, a sentence. I'm grateful for this because this. So I'm grateful for this because that, right? Simple format, just I'm grateful for this because of reason. And then you do that for your 3 times. And then what I always do is I just journal next to it. So I'll do those 3. And then under that, I'll start my line where I'm just doing regular style journaling, where I'm just kind of letting my mind flow. I'm letting my mind just speak about whatever it's thinking about, whatever is present right now. But specifically with the morning journaling, I'm specifically focused on basically speaking myself into action, if you can understand what that means. But essentially just writing in such a way that it allows me to start to feel more motivated for the day, right? So following up your gratitude with a little bit of motivating style journaling, where I'm basically just writing about my goals. I'm writing about my intention to achieve them. I'm writing about just the nature of discipline. I'm writing about the nature of hard work. And I'm basically getting myself in that state of mind to be able to go and then pursue my goals, right? So the next thing that I have is actually just letting your mind run. So similar to what I was just saying, but this can be a separate journaling session, or you can piece these together, as I said. But just letting your mind run, right? Just letting your mind go and go with whatever it thinks about, right? So one thing that I'll often do if I don't feel like journaling is I will just sit down with the journal and a pen, and I will simply write down the first word or set of words that comes to mind. And typically from there, always from that point. I've never had a time where this hasn't worked for me, but from that point, I always am able to just keep going, and I'm able to just, from those few words that I thought about first when I sat down, from that journal my entire life story or whatever the mind is ruminating on, right? You journal the entirety of what your mind is running with, right? And so if you just simply keep going with that for long enough, eventually you'll feel this like deep sense of clarity, like you can actually breathe again, like your brain can actually properly relax, right? And that's when you're usually done. If you have cleared the mind, if you can understand what this feeling is like when you have cleared the mind, then you're done and you can move on. So the next thing is contemplation journaling, right? So this is the type of journaling I do when I'm contemplating on a deep issue, or just have things to think about, or I just have like knowledge that I'm working on and working through. So contemplation journaling, this is more of like thought to journaling. So I'll be thinking about something, thinking about a topic, and you'll write it down, and then you reread what you wrote, and then you can continue your thought based off of that. And so you basically have this back and forth between writing, rereading, and then thinking, and then deeply thinking about it, and then going back to writing to reread and deeply think. And you do this for, let's say, an hour straight. You will gain a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge, a lot of information on whatever it is you're contemplating on. You will gain a lot of understanding. And if you are looking to come to a conclusion about something, you can do this until you come to a proper conclusion about the thing that you're thinking about, right? And so this journaling is a good tool for anybody who needs like time to themselves to think, to come up with ideas, and to come up with decisions, like make actual decisions. This type of journaling is great to just make decisions. And another thing, if you need something to do, instead of going on social media, instead of playing video games, instead of doing drugs, right? You just spend time contemplating on a topic that you're interested in. And this is a great habit to get into because it's entertaining, it's fun, it's interesting, but it gives you such a deep level of understanding of wisdom about the things that you're learning and that you're studying. And it also helps you to come up with decisions if you make decisions, so it allows you to make the best possible decisions. It allows you to do these things as a bonus, as a benefit. It's a better form of entertainment than social media, than anything else. And it has all these long-term benefits, so it's just worth fitting into your day where you would normally fit time for television or social media. And then so the last thing is to write your thoughts and your feelings throughout the day, right? So just like as you have a thought, write it down. As you're feeling and processing some emotion, just write about it, write it down. And this is the best thing for mental health specifically, because every time you get stuck on that, every time you get stuck on an emotion or a thought, you can then go and write it down and process it very quickly in the moment. And then you can continue on with your day. Whereas before, what you'd normally do is keep it in, try to repress it in some way, or try to numb it in some way. And then it only amplifies and grows over time, and it stacks and compounds on top of all the other times that you've done this to yourself. And so you just build up more and more mind stuff, like I was talking about earlier. But if you get in the habit of writing these things down as they're happening, as you're processing them, then you will naturally just start to process things deeper. You will start to comprehend and understand yourself on a deeper level. And when you do have emotions, you'll be easier able to handle them. Even if you don't have your journal on you, you'll be easier able to handle them just because you have this level of awareness of yourself and your emotions since you've been practicing journaling. So that's all for the video. If you guys are interested in transforming your lives through self-improvement, go ahead and check out those links in the description. But aside from that, I'm out of here. Peace.